Hi everyone, my name is Robin Kerber and I am the Farm and Seed to School Coordinator for the Maine Department of Education Child Nutrition Program. And today I'm going to be demonstrating some of our new Harvest of the Month recipes for apples, starting with our Waldorf fruit salad. So a Waldorf salad, it's a pretty common recipe. It usually features apples, celery, walnuts, and either grapes or raisins. So this one is a really simple preparation. We're basically just chopping up everything. I'm gonna roast the walnuts for a little bit more flavor, and then we're just gonna combine it all and call it good. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I've got some whole shelled walnuts here, and the recipe just calls for raw walnuts, but I always like to toast my nuts. I think it really brings a lot of flavor to them. It's a really simple step. You don't want to over toast them and burn them and lose your nuts, but it adds a lot of flavor to heat them up, release some of those oils. And I like to do them, roast them whole or toast them whole first and then chop them. That way they toast evenly. So I'm going to throw this on the burner. I'm going to keep an eye on that. They will toast up pretty quickly. You can also do it in the oven. If you have an oven that's already on and heated for something else, just put them on a sheet tray and do it that way. And then I'm going to chop up some apples. So for this recipe, I'm going to use a variety of apples because I have a nice assortment here. Why not? And we're really looking for like a snacking apple. So something that you would just take from the bag and snack on. It's going to be crisp. It's going to be juicy. And so I've got some Gala apples and some ginger gold. So a couple different colors going on. I've already washed these, so they're ready for me to prep. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them into quarters. Because I've already washed them, and I like the color especially of the red apple, the skin, I'm going to keep the skin on, but you can certainly peel it if you're maybe cooking for younger kids, pick your eaters, whatever. You can take the skin off the apples. And then I just go in and a quarter at a time with my knife at an angle, I remove that inner core section. Put that to the side. And the recipe just calls for cored, unpeeled, so it does say unpeeled and diced. So I'm going to take each quarter, cut it into 3 lengthwise, flip it around, do pieces about that size. And I'm going to give my nuts a stir. So those are already done. You can see that some parts have browned up a little bit. They're smoking, so I want to get them out of that hot pan so they don't burn. Let those cool just a little bit before I chop them. Dice up the rest of the apples. And this Waldorf fruit salad, it's a great one to have as a side on a salad bar or as part of a bigger dish, but you can also make it, more of the main course, the main part of the meal. You could add some more protein. You're already getting some protein from the walnuts, but you could add even more by maybe chopping up some chicken or some turkey. Maybe you have some leftovers from another recipe you were doing and you kind of want to stretch it in something else. This would be a great place for it. But you're really getting a lot of nutrients from this salad. All right. So I am following our Harvest of the Month for home use recipes. So these are all yielded smaller quantities. So this one is 8 servings. So I'm just going to use about half of this amount of apple. That should be good. I will either use the rest of the apple for something else, or maybe that'll be my snack. And then it calls for 1 ounce of fresh celery. So I've got my celery head here. I've already rinsed it, but I'm very mindful that when I'm rinsing it, I take off 1 stalk at a time and rinse it, because especially down in this bottom little cavity, you can really collect a lot of dirt. That's sort of where it grows, close to the ground. So I'm going to cut that off, slice down again, and just do a rough chop. Throw that right into the bowl. And then we've got some raisins. So like I said, a traditional Waldorf salad usually has grapes, but we're going to do raisins. Most of our school kitchens have plenty of raisins on hand. You could use craisins if you had those too. We're sticking with the raisins here. Then let's check out our nuts. So these have cooled enough for me to comfortably handle them. And now I'm just going to give them a rough chop. And so because when I was toasting them, all these walnut halves were about the same size, they toasted really evenly. Had I chopped them first, I would have some little bits, some big bits. The little bits would burn, the bigger bits wouldn't get toasted. So I always toast first, chop second. Throw those in there. You could also do, if you had some nut allergies, you could do sunflower seeds toasted, put them in there as well. And then we're going to add our lemon juice. So the recipe says to add the lemon juice right on top of the apples to prevent discoloration, but then the next step is to combine everything together. So there's not really a lot of time for those apples to start discoloring before you add the other ingredients. So I'm pretty comfortable with just adding everything at the same time. And it calls for just half of a teaspoon. So not really getting a lot of flavor from the lemon juice here. It really is serving a purpose of preventing those apples from browning on us. And then we've got 1 ounce of low-fat mayonnaise. So I've got my little scale here. We're going to see what that looks like. Not a lot. You could also do a Greek yogurt or just a regular yogurt. We've got a couple farms in Maine that make an awesome yogurt, so that's another ingredient in this recipe that could be locally sourced. We're keeping it a little traditional here with the mayonnaise. And then we've got 1 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And now the last ingredient, we're going to add some canned mixed fruit. So I have it here, and I just strained an entire can of it. So this is about twice the amount that we need for this recipe. So I'm just going to go in and add half of that. And that is essentially it. Now I'm just going to stir it all together. And our recipe says that you want to let this sit in the refrigerator overnight. So all of those ingredients really marry and come together. Those apples soften up a little bit. That nutmeg goes a long way here. It's pretty much the main flavoring. You'll see that there's no salt and pepper. There's a lot going on in here, so you might not need it, but definitely feel free to give it a taste at this point. Add a pinch of pepper, pinch of salt, and that is perfectly fine. So that's our Waldorf fruit salad. It smells amazing. I love the nutmeg, the apples. It's such a great fall sort of flavor combination, and this could not be simpler, and I hope you try it.